Alright, in this video we're going to cover lines. So here's a problem. Mr. Kirkland made a picture that contained parallel, perpendicular, and intersecting lines. It also contained acute, right, and obtuse angles, but we'll get to those later. Here are some vocabulary words that you need to know. Go ahead and pause the video and copy those down in your IMN. Alright, so there's a little song that goes with for lines to help you remember. It's to the tune of Jingle Bells. Parallel lines, they run side to side. If they are perpendicular lines, a square corner they will provide. Thank you. I'll be accepting my Grammy later. So, here's what looks like it could be confusing. It's got a bunch of different stuff happening on it. There's letters, there's lines, there's arrows and dots, and gosh, could be confusing. Let's take this and let's separate it out just a little bit. So remember, a line goes on forever. Forever and ever and ever. Lines have arrows. Okay? A point is just that. It's a point on the line. So let's take point O here. Let's take the point O, and let's take the point P. Let's take the point P. And so my points, actually I just label it as the letter. Point P, so that way you don't think I'm using an O there. A line, if I'm going to describe a line, I have to have points in order to describe it. So my line that I'm talking about here is, I'm talking about line O, P. Now I can flip that around. I could also call it line PO. All that's saying is, hey, there's a line, it's going on forever and ever and ever, and 2 points on that line are P and O. And so that way you're looking at it going, alright, where is it? Oh, there it is. There's my O, here's my P. He's talking about this line right here. A line segment is just that. It's a segment of the line. It's just a piece of it. So a line segment, we know it as a dot with a line and a dot. And again, same idea. We use OP, or I could do PO. That's just talking about, hey, between those 2 points, O and P, is what I'm talking about. Well, in my case up here, between the points O and P, there's a lot of stuff happening. And we'll talk about those here in 1 second as well. The last thing on this little part are called rays. Now, you're thinking about like a ray of sunshine. The sun sends rays of sunshine from the sun down to the earth in a continuous line. Rays start with an endpoint and go on forever and ever and ever. And that's what a ray is. So we could have the ray SO. Wow, I have 2 O's. Sorry, just realized that. Ray SO, or ray, well, we'll just use S and O. Use that. So we're going from S to O, and it just keeps going on and on and on. Okay, so that's our ray. Now it comes to our 3 types of lines: intersecting, perpendicular, and parallel. An intersecting line is just that. It's 2 lines that intersect. When you think of intersect, I want you to think of the word crossing. They cross or touch at 1 point. Those are intersecting lines. They cross or touch at 1 point. So 2 intersecting lines here could be, let's see. We've got line, line RS intersects line TW. So what I'm talking about is this right here. RS and TW right there. Perpendicular lines are very special. They're very particular. Perpendicular lines cross, but they also form a right angle. If it's not a right angle, it's a wrong angle. That was a little angle humor there. Again, we'll talk about angles here in a little bit, but what I want you to know about right angle or perpendicular lines is they form these squares like that. When they cross, it forms a perfect square. Just like the edge of a piece of paper, the corner of a piece of paper. So two perpendicular lines could be lines YX. We say it's perpendicular. That's how we draw perpendicular. It's a line, let's just call it a WP. So where YX and WP meet, it forms a square angle. So that way I know it's perpendicular. Parallel lines never touch. Never, ever, 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 ever touch. Think of parallel lines like railroad tracks. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen railroad tracks. Those rails on the side, those rails will never going to touch. And if they do, then it's going to be kind of problematic for the train. So parallel lines never touch. But more importantly, they stay the same distance away from each other all the time. So never touch. Same distance. So examples of parallel lines would be like line R, and let's make this a Q. Line RQ, it's parallel, and we just do that, parallel to line YX. You see, this line, oh, I guess I should use a marker. This line right here and this line right here are never going to touch. They stay the same distance away from each other all the time. But like this line over here, and I'm just going to do a big circle and see if I can erase as much of it as I can. But like this line right here and this line right here, eventually, because these lines keep going, eventually they're going to meet way up there at the top of the screen. So they would not be parallel. Those are not parallel lines. Okay. Hopefully you're able to follow some of that, and if not, please, please, please rewatch this video until you understand what it is I'm talking about. There's a little preview of part 2. If you have any questions, please write it down on your whisk and bring it to class.